Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Roig. I'm with the Career Center here with my colleagues Tammy and John, who are going to get you all prepared to do your elevator pitches for next week's job fair or for wherever else you might need them. This is a hybrid event, as you may know, so we have a number of people joining online. We're glad to have you here in person or virtually, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things since it is a hybrid event. So Tammy and John will give an opening presentation before we actually get into practicing our pitches. If you can save questions till the end, that would be great. I will be watching questions in the chat and we'll say them out loud to you all so you can answer them. If you are asking questions here, just try to project so that people can hear you. We can always repeat questions too. We are recording this session. And then once the presentation is over, we'll move into our mock job fair in the back of the room where I and the other advisors will line up and let you practice doing your pitches. So we want you to ideally practice 3 times. You'll collect a sticker at each, and then we will be doing a giveaway of some AU items for those who have done 3 or more. So this is meant to be somewhat informal, to be interactive. We want to help you feel confident about this experience. And we thank you for taking the time to be here. And thank you, though, for presenting.
My pleasure. All right. So I'm Tammy Katzoff. I'm a career advisor in the Career Center. I work mostly with SPA students. I'm also the P-Law advisor, and I also work with a few communication students. And John, you want to introduce yourself more?
Yes, I'm John Charles. I am a career advisor. I work with SIS and College of Arts and Sciences and School of Education. And I'm also one of the, I work under Tammy as a pre-law advisor too. And very excited to be here. Thanks.
All right. So elevator pitch. You might have heard this term before, but even if you haven't, by the end of this, you should have a decent idea of what it's all about. And we're going to leave plenty of time for questions. So elevator pitch is something really good to have ready to go for a lot of different situations. We'll get to that in a moment. So next one. Sorry. Tech stuff. Well, okay, got to do that. Okay. So what is it all about? It's a short professional introduction. That's it in a very small nutshell. Okay. You're telling a very short story about who you are. 30 to 90 seconds. I would keep it on the shorter side of that. Okay. What's the purpose of it? To get the attention of a recruiter, hiring manager, professional connection. And there's other people who you might be using your elevator pitch with. Also, just to start a conversation with someone you don't necessarily know yet. So why is it called an elevator pitch? Because imagine if you were riding in an elevator with someone and you have a very short amount of time to impress that person. What would you say? You're not going to have enough time to tell them your whole life story. So you have to condense it all into what we call an elevator pitch. So when do we use these? For all sorts of occasions and situations. Career fairs, like the one that's coming up at the end of this month. Employer meetups, networking receptions, informational interviews, conferences and presentations. They also usually start a job interview or an internship interview when someone asks, tell me about yourself. That's when you're going to use your elevator pitch. Okay. What are the key attributes of an effective elevator pitch? Well, you have to think of your target audience. Okay. So you're not always going to be using the same elevator pitch in the same situation. Want to think about who you're talking to, right? And how to impress that person, right? It's kind of like when you write a cover letter. when you're, and no one likes to do those. But elevator pitches are more fun. But imagine when you're writing a cover letter, you're not sending out the same cover letter to every job or internship that you're applying for, God forbid. You want to think about who the reader is. So this is kind of the same situation, right? You want to think about who your listener is going to be. And the key is brevity. Okay, I think in some Shakespeare play, he wrote, brevity is the soul of wit. Okay, it's one of my favorites and the only Shakespeare that I can quote. But that's really what it's about here. You want to keep it short, sweet, but also you want to have it be intriguing and interesting. Okay, short stories can be super memorable, but how do you figure this out, right? If you're building this from the beginning, there's 3 things that you want to cover: your past, present, and future. Okay, that's how you want to structure your elevator pitch, around those 3 things: past, present, and future. We'll talk more about that in a minute. It's going to be a short story, and it should have a flow, right? It shouldn't be just a list of things, right? It should have a beginning, middle, and end. All right, so how do you design or build this? Okay, so you should include, of course, who you are now. This is the present part. You should start with the present, who you are now. Your name, if they don't already know it, your major, your minor, what you're studying, your class year, or if you're an alum, what else you might be doing now. So if you're involved in an on-campus organization, or if you have, if you're doing an internship right now, so you want to include that ideally in the present part of your pitch. But then the past part, what the past part? Work experience that you're proud of, internships, extracurricular activities that you've done, accomplishments that you've done. So that's the past part. And then the future part is the goals, right? So what you hope to be doing. And you don't have to kind of spell out the future of your whole life. We can't do that anyway. But just some goals. You want to throw in some future goals. Okay. And remember here, during this whole thing, you want to keep an eye on your eye contact, right? So you want to remember that while you're talking or conversing with the person, you want to keep good eye contact with them. You want to deliver nicely your story. So, be understandable, not too fast, not too slow, but you want to be enthusiastic. All right. Not too enthusiastic, but enthusiastic. Okay. So here is a sample format. And this is also on your handout. Okay. Hello, my name is Tammy Katzoff. I am, let's pretend, I am a senior at American University, and I'll be graduating with a degree in English and with a minor in psychology. Okay. I'm interested in a career in publishing. And hopefully an internship with a company like yours, an internship with a publishing company. I've been involved in publications here on campus. Sorry, I'm improvising. Publications here on campus, and have developed skills in how publications are published, the process of publications. Okay. I've also had an internship at a small local newspaper here in Washington, D.C. And I discovered that I really enjoy the numbers aspect of publishing, the data aspect, which is totally not true. I hate numbers. But you get the idea. So basically, you kind of use this type of thing as a template. You could fill in the blanks, right? But this encompasses the past, present, and future. Okay, so the hello, my name is part, and that little first part, that's who I am now. Okay, now I'm skipping to the future, right? I'm interested in a career or position in the blank industry. So that's what I wanted to be doing in the future. And then I'm going to the past. I've been involved with X and I've built these skills and I've learned that I enjoy A, B, and C, right? So you want to start with the present, but where you go from there doesn't matter that much. Like you can go from present to past to future, or from present to future to past, as long as it flows. Okay. So there's not one exact right way of doing this, as long as it flows nicely. All right, a reminder. Don't forget to customize, and I mentioned this at the beginning, don't forget to customize your elevator pitch when you talk to different people, meaning do your research. If you know that you're possibly going to be talking to John Smith from company X, do your research into that company, okay? Make sure they understand that you understand their company, right? So really look into the people that you'll be talking to. If it's a specific person, right? If you know that you're going to be talking to a specific person, look them up on LinkedIn, see what they've been doing, right? This doesn't always work for a job and internship fair, but you know, for other situations, you'll know who you're going to be talking to, right? So do some research on them, not just where they work, but on them as well. All right. Anything you want to add that I might have missed?
Thanks for asking, Tammy. Actually, there's one thing that
Yes.
I was thinking about, and you alluded to it in the previous slide, and or the one where you were talking about, like, it's not so critical, like exactly what you say. And it's true, because if you think of the elevator pitch as a way to launch into a conversation, right? We're trying to start a discussion. And so what you say matters, but it's mostly about, like, let's get to that discussion and the back and forth. And that's where all the interesting things are going to happen, right? When you interact.
Yeah. So in a career fair situation, hopefully there will be more talking, right? Hopefully you can ask questions about that company or that person. They can ask you more questions maybe, and it becomes more of a conversation. And yeah, and that's a good point. You know, this little block of elevator pitch might be broken up. You never know, right? The person you're talking to might latch onto something and might start asking you about that. You know, don't be taken aback necessarily if if it doesn't come out the way you practiced it, right? Because the person you're talking to might want more or have a follow-up to something you say in here. That's why you don't want to kind of blurt it all out, right? And you know, you do want to practice it, but it shouldn't sound like you're reading from a script, right? Because again, this is the beginning of a conversation, but it can become its own conversation in and of itself, right? Because when I talked to an employer and I said that I majored in English with a minor in psychology, that employer might say, oh my gosh, I did the same thing. I majored in English, I minored in psychology. Let's talk more about that. So you never know, right? And that's a good thing, by the way, right? You want to engage them. You want to have them be interested in what you're saying. So thank you, John. Yeah. Okay, we have plenty of time for questions. Oh, I see we might have some questions from the back. Yeah. How can I introduce myself if I don't have internship or employment experience? That is a good question. Well, you probably have other things that you're involved with or that you've done, right? And if that past section of the elevator pitch is shorter than the rest, that's okay. Right? So it doesn't have to be jobs or internships. It could be, again, organizations, volunteer work, something you've done in your hometown instead of here on campus. You can spend most of that chunk of time speaking about what you're involved with now. So again, the amount can vary from each section to each section, but just there's going to be other things in your life that you can talk about. So it's okay if you don't have those past internships and jobs. I hope that answers the question.
Well, sometimes too, like when I'm working with younger students on the resume and they don't have the internship to put on there, I'll say, did you have a class where you wrote an interesting paper, you did some research? And that can be something to put in as well.
Yeah. A project that you've done inside or outside of class. Again, and anything that you're proud of, that you think might be impressive to the person who's listening to you, you can talk about that. Any other chat questions?
What if you haven't declared a major?
Then you can say that. I haven't declared a major yet, but I'm considering blank and blank, or, I'm taking this first year of college to really explore before I declare my major. Totally fine. Nothing bad about that. Thank you for that question. I like it. Yeah. Any other question? Yes.
I feel like also sometimes the thing of not is brag. How to not take that impression or really thinking about that.
Well, I tell students a lot, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. So it's okay to kind of go up to that line. You want to be confident, right? You want to be proud of your accomplishments. I don't think you need to worry about bragginess, right? If you've got stuff that you're proud of, talk about it, right? Again, similar with a cover letter, right? Confident tone, right? So I don't know that you have to worry about bragging. It's really, in the end, that's what it is about, in a way, right?
Yeah, and if you focus on facts, I always say, if it's a fact, then it's a fact, and nothing else matters.
Yeah, if you did it, then you did it. If you got this incredible scholarship, then you got this incredible scholarship. If you got a Fulbright and you're, next year you're going somewhere really cool outside of this country. Yeah, talk about it. I would call it bragging. You're stating facts. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
Thanks so much for the time. Any questions? So I know we talk about our future goals like that, right? You say, I'm interested in maybe this kind of position, or that type of within film and entertainment. I guess my question is, like, how specific should we be when we're stating like these are the positions I want to have? Should we also leave a little note at the end and say, however, I'm open to all the options?
I'll let you answer.
Yeah, you know what? I like the way that you actually kind of answered it for me.
Oh, okay.
So I would say be somewhat specific, right? Like don't say, I'm willing to take anything within the film industry because I know it's really competitive. So we aren't going to say that, but we are going to say, I am interested in, directorial roles. I am also willing to do an assistant position as well. You get the idea, right? Like you have what's your big goal, but you understand that you need to be flexible. You need to look at all that's there. So there's more than one option, but it's not like there's 1,000 options.
Yeah,
right?
Especially with that industry, you don't want to be super specific as to the jobs that you're open for.
Right.
I know a little bit about this. So, but yeah, you can say what you're interested, the subcategories within the field that you're really interested in. But you can, as long as that you understand, that the person you're talking to understands that there's a lot of different ways to get your foot in the door, and that you're willing to consider different options to get in there. Super important. Very, very, very important. Yeah,
Adding to that, with my interest, I have a really strong interest in doing research like in conflicts between Middle East and East Asia. So if I'm talking to some people from NGOs or even maybe congressional, side like that, would that be specific enough to say I'm interested in like studying, or researching these conflicts in Middle East or East Asia, or these triangles more specific than that?
I think that's pretty specific. I mean,
Yeah.
how much more specific, can you get more specific right now? Or is that as specific as you're feeling right now? Yeah, I think that's fine. That's specific, that's pretty specific, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's also sort of an opening for the person you're speaking to ask a follow-up, right? Oh, Middle East and East Asia. So have you written a paper on that? You know, and then it can get more specific if it needs to be, or it can go in a different direction.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Liz, what do you think?
Okay. Now we're gonna move into the interact portion. So the advisors will move to the back where we have a mock job fair set up for you. Which looks very similar to what you will see next week if you come to our actual job fair. There are some true companies represented back there. If you don't know them all, that's fine. Well, A, feel free to Google. B, this is part of practicing having conversation. If you came in late and didn't grab the two documents we're using, we have a sheet to help you think through what your pitch may be. And then we also have our pitch passport where you can collect stickers. Anyone with 3 or more, we're going to do a giveaway for some AU swag. And really, we just want to encourage you to interact with as many different people as possible. As you'll see, everyone has different communication styles, different things to talk about. So I think the more you do it, the more you work through your nerves and you feel more confident with how things fall off the tongue. So again, this is meant to be interactive and informal. So we'll just take a moment to get aligned back there, and then please feel free to come back. Those who are online, if you want to stick around, I will put you in breakout rooms where you'll practice with each other. So there will not be advisors in there with you, but you can take the opportunity to give each other feedback. And you're all welcome to come back for more job fair prep events over the next week. So we have a series of events listed in a handout by the front. Probably the biggest one are our resume stations, which we're doing both virtually and in person. So if you're feeling some doubts about the level of preparedness on your resume, feel free to come back and have us check that out. And download the app that we have for the career fair to start to get a sense of who's coming, so you feel extra confident on that side too. Any other questions before we move to the back? Awesome. Well, thank you, Tammy and John, and we'll get set up.
Welcome.
Okay.